It is the second week of January, and I am kneeling in the snow in my own garden with a digging fork in my hand. I pull back a foot of straw, and the ground underneath it is soft. Not frozen, soft and dark and smelling like September. I set the fork in, lean back on it, and lift out 6 carrots as thick as my wrist, sweeter than any carrot you have ever bought in a store. They were not in a jar. They were not in a freezer. They came out of the ground alive, out of the same ground I put the seed in, on a hot, dusty afternoon last August, when every other garden in this county was being pulled up and called finished for the year. That second week of August is the week most folks quit. The beans are tired, the squash bugs have won, the tomatoes are splitting faster than anybody can put them up, and it feels like the year is spent. So the beds get cleared and raked flat and covered over, and from October clear through to April, that family buys every leaf and every root it eats in the one season of the year when leaves and roots cost the most, trucked up from Arizona or from Mexico with the taste driven out of them somewhere around Tennessee. And a packet of carrot seed costs about $2. Put that packet in the ground in the middle of August, and it will feed you in January and February, and on into March, out from under a foot of straw, for no more work than 1 hour on one afternoon. My name is Miriam Fisher. I am 65 years old. I have kept a kitchen garden here in Lancaster County since I was a girl of 9, and I have not bought a carrot in the month of January in my grown life. My mother sowed her last rows in August, and her mother sowed hers in August, and neither one of them had a fancy word for what they were doing. They called it supper. So by the time we are through here, you will know 3 things. You will know how to count backward to the exact week you ought to be sowing. Not my week, your week, wherever it is you live. You will know which crops will truly stand a winter and which ones only look like they will. And you will know the 2 cheap covers that are worth more to a family than any glass house they could not afford anyway. And the whole of it turns on one number that has nothing to do with cold. There is a part in the middle of this that near everybody gets wrong, and some of the folks getting it wrong are the ones making videos about it. They will tell you the garden keeps right on growing under that straw all winter long. It does not. What it does instead is stranger than growing, and once you understand it, you will never lay out a garden the same way again. Stay with me, and I will get to it. Let me say first why this got lost, because the reason is plain enough. It got lost with the freezer and the truck. When a family could put a chest freezer in the cellar and buy a bag of carrots in February for pocket change, there was no reason left to teach a daughter the August sowing, so one generation did not pass it on, and the next one never knew there was anything to miss. And there is this too. Nobody makes $1 off you when you sow a fall row. The seed is the same $2 packet you already own. The straw is the bale in the barn. There is no money in teaching a woman to keep her carrots in her own ground, so nobody teaches it. Now here is the number, and it is the whole foundation, so I want you to hold on to it. 10 hours. A plant needs about 10 hours of daylight in a day to make any real growth. Under 10 hours, it does not die, and it does not freeze off, and it does not rot. It simply stops. It sits. It holds right where it is, like a clock with the pendulum caught. A grower up in Maine, named Eliot Coleman, put a name on that stretch of the year. He calls it the Persephone period, after the old Greek story of the daughter who goes underground for the dark months. And he built a whole winter farm on it. For most of this country, that stretch runs from sometime in November to sometime in February. Here at Lancaster, at about 40 degrees north, our days drop under 10 hours around the first week of November, and they do not come back over 10 hours until the first week of February. If you live farther north than me, it starts sooner and it lasts longer. Down south of about 30 degrees, it hardly comes at all, and you can garden straight through. Now take that number and turn it over, because it changes everything about when you sow. Most folks count their planting from the first frost. For a tomato, that is right. For what we are doing, it is wrong. And it is why so many people try a fall garden once, get a bed of thumb-sized carrots in November, and decide it does not work. Frost is not your deadline. The dark is. A carrot, a parsnip, a leek, a head of kale. The frost does not kill any of them. They will take a frost and a freeze and a foot of snow on top. What stops them is the 10 hours, so the crop does not have to be finished by your first frost. It has to be finished by the day your light gives out, which for most of us is the first week of November. Whatever size it has reached by then is the size it will be when you eat it in January. It will not gain another ounce. So here is the sum, and it takes 4 minutes at the kitchen table with a seed packet and a pencil. Start with the first week of November. That is your true deadline, unless you are well north of me, in which case, pull it back a week or two. Now take the days to maturity printed on the seed packet. Add about 2 weeks to that number, because the days are shortening the whole time your crop is growing, and it will take longer than the packet promises. Then count that many days backward from the first week of November, and that is your sowing week. Let me do it with real numbers, so you can hear how it comes out. A carrot runs about 70 days to maturity. 70 plus 14 is 84 days. Count 84 days. Back from the 5th of November, and you land on about the 13th of August. That is the whole answer to the riddle. That is why the carrot has to go in this month and not next month, and it is why I am out there sowing, with the sweat running off me, while my neighbors are tearing their gardens out. A turnip runs about 50 days. 50 and 14 is 64, counted back from the 5th of November, and you get the first days of September. Spinach runs 35 to 40. That gives you until the middle of September, and spinach is the most forgiving thing in this whole business. So if you are hearing this late, spinach is your crop. A beet is about 50 days. Chard is 50 to 60. Peas for a fall picking are 60 to 70, so they wanted to be in already. Asian greens, the mustards and the pak choi and the tatsoi, run 40 to 60 days, and they are quick, and they are hardy, and hardly anybody in this country plants them in the fall. And a radish is 25 days. 25. You could sow radishes at the end of September and still be pulling them. Kale is the one I would not have any of you skip, and it works a little differently. If you are setting out little plants rather than sowing seed, count 55 to 60 days from the day you put that plant in the dirt, which means kale wants to go out now. In August, the same as the carrots. It stands hard or cold than anything else on the list. It takes the frost the same way a carrot does and comes out sweeter for it. And one good row of it will give a family greens right through to spring. Leeks are the other one worth knowing about, though those are sown back in the spring and set out in summer. I mention them only so you know that a leek will stand in frozen ground all winter and come out of it in March as good as the day the light died on it. One caution on the packet because it trips people. Those days to maturity are counted from the day you set the seed in the ground for anything you sow direct, but for anything you set out as a little plant, your broccoli, your cabbage, your kale seedlings, the count starts the day you transplant it, not the day the seed sprouted. If you read it the other way, you will be a month late and never know why. Now, what to sow? This is where I have to be plain with you, because there is a lot of foolishness told on this subject. Your January food is roots and hardy greens. That is the list. Carrots, parsnips, turnips, winter radishes, beets, leeks, kale, spinach, collards, the Asian greens, and the hardy leaf lettuces if you cover them. What is not on that list is anything you loved in July. A tomato sown in August will not give you a tomato. Neither will a bean, a cucumber, a pepper, or a squash. They die the first hard night, every one of them, and no straw and no cover in a home garden will change it. If a body tells you to sow tomatoes in August for a winter crop, that body has never done it. Now the sowing itself, because August ground is not April ground, and it will fool you. The soil in the middle of August is hot, and it is dry, and small seed will not come up in it. So I do 3 things. I set the seed a little deeper than I would in the spring, a ½ inch instead of a quarter, down where the ground still holds some damp. I water the row before I sow, not after, so the water's underneath the seed and not sitting in a crust on top of it. And for the slow ones, like carrot and parsnip, which can take 2 weeks and more to show, I lay an old board flat over the row to hold the moisture in the ground, and I look under it every morning. And the day I see the first white threads coming, that board comes off. Leave it a day too long, and you will have a row of pale weak seedlings. Then you wait, and you weed once or twice, and the weather does the rest. September is the kindest growing month we get in Pennsylvania. Warm ground, cool nights, no bugs to speak of, because most of the pests that ate your summer garden are done for the year. My fall carrots come up cleaner than my spring ones ever do. Now the part I promised you. Come November, when the light dies, that crop stops growing. And here is where the old way begins, because a carrot that has stopped growing is not a problem. It is a jar. It is a full jar of food sitting in your yard, already sealed, and the only question left is how to keep the lid on it until you want it. We do that with straw. Before the ground freezes solid, that is the timing, and it matters more than the date. You lay 6 inches to a foot of straw or old leaves over the whole bed. Push it right up against the crowns and carry it a good 1.5 feet past the edge of the row on either side, because cold comes in from the sides as much as the top. Then you leave it. That straw has exactly one job, and warming the carrot is no part of it. Its work is to keep the ground from freezing hard. The dirt underneath stays soft enough to put a fork in all winter long, and that is the only reason any of this is any use to you. Food you cannot dig out of the ground is not food. And before you cover it, drive a stake at each end of every row, tall enough to stand a foot above the straw. It sounds like a small thing, and it is the difference between a winter of carrots and a winter of carrots cut in half. In January, that bed is a flat white field with nothing on it to tell you where the carrots end and the turnips begin, and a woman digging blind in the snow with a fork will cut through half her own crop, learning that lesson. My mother marked her rows with lath and a bit of red rag on the top, and I have never found a better way. With that much straw over them, carrots will take about 20 degrees. Parsnips are tougher yet, down near 0, mulched, and a parsnip will commonly stand in the ground until spring and come out fine. That is not a small thing. That is a family's winter vegetables sitting outdoors, in the weather, with no jar, no lid, no freezer, no crock, and no electricity of any kind. Now the second cover, and this is the number that turned my head the first time I heard it, because we had been doing the thing for 100 years without knowing how to measure it. Every layer of cover you put over a bed moves that bed about 500 miles south. That is Eliot Coleman's measure, and it comes to about a zone and a half. So a bed in zone 5 under one sheet is living in zone 6.5. Put 2 layers on it, say a low hoop of plastic with a light row cover underneath, and that bed is now growing in zone 7 conditions while you are standing in zone 5 snow, 500 miles south for the price of 1 sheet of plastic. And it does not have to be a bought thing. A storm window laid over a wooden box on the north side is a cold frame. Wire hoops out of an old fence with clear plastic pulled over them is a low tunnel, and it will run you a few dollars a bed. Under a low tunnel, spinach can be carried through an entire winter, not held, carried, alive, and standing in green in February when there is snow on the plastic. 2 rules for working under a cover, and I learned both the hard way. Do not open it on a cold day. Wait until it is above 40 degrees, then lift the edge, take a moderate cut, and close it back up, with enough of the afternoon left for the bed to warm again before dark. And do not cut a plant bulb in January. It has no light to grow new leaves with, so take 1/3 of it and let it be. Here is the honest part, and I will not skip it. That garden is not growing in January. I want to say that plainly because it is said wrong so often. Nothing is growing out there. What you are eating in January was grown in September and October, and it is being held alive and fresh in the ground, in the cold, where nothing spoils it. The garden is not a factory in the winter. It is a cellar with the roof off. And there are limits. If you are far enough north that your ground freezes solid 2 feet down, straw alone will not keep the fork going in, and you will want your roots lifted and put in a proper cellar in sand before that happens. If you have no cover at all and you live where it is truly cold, your greens will go. And I will say plainly that this is my house and my ground I am telling you about. There are Amish families up and down this valley who buy their winter vegetables at the market like anybody else. I am not speaking for a whole people. I am telling you what has fed this one table. One more thing, and this is the one that makes converts. Do not hurry the harvest. Wait for the frost, and then wait for a few more. When the ground goes under about 40 degrees, a carrot starts turning. The starch it has stored into sugar. That is the carrot looking after itself. Sugar dissolved in the cell water keeps that cell from freezing. It is the plant making its own antifreeze, the same reason we salt an icy step. But the result on your table is that a carrot or a parsnip or a turnip that has sat through a hard frost carries far more sugar than any one of them grown in the summer heat. A parsnip pulled in December is a different vegetable than a parsnip pulled in September, sweet enough that children will eat them raw out of the bucket, and I have watched mine do it, with the snow still on their coats. That is the trade the cold makes with you. It takes the growing, and it gives back the sweetness. Let me widen this out for a minute before I let you go. A family that eats from its own ground in January is not just saving the price of a bag of carrots, though it is saving that. It is holding a piece of ground that does not depend on a truck arriving. Ours is a plain life, and I will not pretend it is a rich one, but I have never once in 65 years stood in front of an empty shelf and wondered what my family would eat. The seed is $2, the straw is already in the barn, and you are standing on the ground. Nothing in this is beyond anybody watching, and that is exactly why it grieves me that it stopped being handed down. So here's what I want you to do this week, and it is a short list. Find out your own first frost date and do not trust one source on it. Here in Lancaster, depending on who you ask, it falls anywhere from the 6th of October to the 1st of November, with about a coin's toss of a freezing night by the 24th of October. Take the range and plan on the early end of it. Then set your real deadline at the first week of November, or a week or two sooner if you live north of me. Take your seed packets, add 2 weeks to the days on the front, and count backward from that deadline. That is your sowing week. And for carrots, it is right now. Sow deep, water the row first, and lay a board over the slow seed until you see it break ground. Buy or borrow a bale of straw now while they are cheap and everywhere, and put it over the roots before the ground freezes hard. And if you can lay hands on a piece of clear plastic and some wire, hoop a single bed of spinach, only the one, so it costs you almost nothing to find out. That is the bed that will surprise you in February. Now do something for me. In the comments, tell me the town you live in, and the first frost date you found for it, and which one thing you are going to put in the ground this week. I read them all, and I will tell you plain if I think you are cutting it too fine, and if you are up in Minnesota or Maine. Say so, because your dates are different from mine, and other folks up there need to see them. Next time, I want to show you the other half of this, which is what happens to the food that does come out of the ground. There is a hole in the earth behind this house, dug by my husband's grandfather, that holds cabbage sound and crisp until March, with no ice and no electric of any kind. And it works because of one thing about dirt that most people have never been told. Until then, Go put your seed in while the ground is still warm. The dark is coming either way. You may as well have supper waiting under it